Okay, we're going to be making something really fun, and that is a sugar vase. I have one that's already complete. It's dry, very hard, nice heavy weight to it, and I have a styrofoam ball already secured in place. It's not going to come out or wiggle away, and it's been glued in place with royal icing, which we're going to do with this one in a few minutes. But this one is green. We've got a pink one that I'm going to work on, and we're going to start making one from scratch, which I'm going to make yellow. I really like them in white, but Jonathan here doesn't like to film things white, so we're doing them in color. Sugar vases are great because they're really easy to make, super inexpensive, and you probably have everything you need already at your home or your workplace. So they have a bit of a sparkle to them because they're made of sugar. You can cover them in gum paste, you can cover them with fondant if you'd like, if you don't like this look. You can also pipe on them. They're very versatile. Okay, so we're gonna start from scratch here, and really all I have is a little pot that I got from the dollar store, and I think I paid $2 for 6 of them. Some water and sugar. So we're basically building like a little sand castle. So what's in here? So we have our vessel. So if you're at the beach, you would have your little sand bucket. This is like my sand bucket. There's something in there. That's okay. Maybe it's part of the vase or the pot. So the ratio, we are going to be adding, when you make a sand castle at the beach, what do? You get dry sand, you add some water to it, and it makes it stick. So that's what we're going to do with our sugar. So in this bowl, I have 1.5 cups of sugar because I need just over 1 cup to fill this, my vessel. So the ratio of water to our sugar is, for every cup of sugar, it's 1 tablespoon of water. Now I want to color this, so I'm not going to add the color to my sugar because I'll probably make it too intense. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of my gel color, which is a water base. I'm going to put just a little bit in my water, give that a stir, and I'm coloring the water instead of the sugar because that way we can get a much more diluted shade. I don't want anything really, really bright. Okay? So I'm just mixing this enough. My gel is still floating around there. I don't know if you can see it. But I want this a nice soft yellow, so I'm not going to stir in the color completely. So I'm just going to stop stirring when I get to the shade that I kind of like. So because there's 1.5 cups of sugar here, I'm going to use 1.5 tablespoons of water. So there's 1 tablespoon and 1/2. And there we go. So I'm going to set this aside and put on a glove because this can get messy. Or you can, just mix it with a spoon as well. I can mix it with my measuring spoon here. And you're going to mix it until there are no dry bits of sugar in the bowl. You want a completely homogeneous mixture. You want it all mixed in. Now, whoop, making a mess. So we're almost there. And you can see it's a really nice soft yellow. If I didn't achieve the color that I wanted right off the bat, and I wanted this darker, I could darken my water, add another tablespoon, but then I'd have to add another cup of sugar, okay? But I would make my water more of an intense yellow. But I like this yellow. And let's say I made it too yellow, you can always add more white sugar with the appropriate amount of water and lighten it that way too. But I like this. It's not too white, right, Jonathan? Is it okay?
Close.
It's close?
Yeah.
Well, too bad.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
Okay. So all of the sugar and the water is mixed in. You can see it's sort of clumping together like sand at the beach. So I'm going to take my vessel. And you can go to any hardware store or home improvement store. They have all different really beautiful shapes, like urn-shaped ones. I like the little pot. So that's what we're gonna do today. So I'm going to put on my glove and I'm gonna start adding sugar to the pot. So I'm not just gonna fill this up and then pack it because we won't have a very sound structure. If I fill it with sugar and just pack from the top, the bottom won't be very compact, and when I take this out, there won't be as much strength in the pot, and the sugar can kind of crumble or fall apart. So I've got just, you know, maybe a quarter full here, and I'm going to compress and push that sugar into the pot. When you're building a sandcastle, I recommend doing it this way too. Don't just fill it and push from the top. Okay, so that's nice and compact. I'm going to add some more sugar and compact that. And just keep going until it's completely full. The idea with this is you want to let the sugar start to dry. So the center of this is not dry yet, but the outside is. I can pick it up and I can scoop out and hollow out the sugar. So this one was done yesterday. This one was done probably 3 or 4 days ago, and it's completely solid. So almost there. So I've had students ask me, because we're going to turn this out right away. They say, well, why don't you leave it in the pot to dry? Well, that doesn't make sense because air has to get to the sugar to start drying the outer shell. If I leave it in the pot, the sides are going to stay soft and not dry, and the top will go hard. And then I can't scoop out the center to accommodate our styrofoam ball. Makes sense? Does it make sense? Yeah. Okay. So once it's full, I'm just going to kind of smooth out the top, make sure it's nice and level. Get rid of any excess sugar. Take off my glove. Okay. So to release this from the pot, I'm going to take a piece of parchment paper. I'm going to set it on top. I'm going to take a cake board. You can use a plate, just anything that's flat. Put that there. Stay, stay. On top, and invert it. And this will come right off. Okay? So as long as you don't disturb it or bump it, it's going to remain this shape. And by tomorrow, you'll be able to pick it up and it won't fall apart, okay? So I'm gonna set this aside. And now we're gonna work on the one that I made yesterday. So what I wanna do is hollow out the center of this pot so that it will hold this styrofoam ball, because it's our styrofoam that we're gonna be poking all of our flower wires into, right? So to do that, I'm just going to take a spoon and just start scooping some of this sugar out. So basically the inside of this is all still soft, but we have a hard outer shell all the way around. And the top is still not dry so much that we can't scoop, because it's upside down on our board and air can't get beneath the top of this. So I'm starting to scoop. I don't want to go too big. Okay, and I take my styrofoam ball, and already it's fitting pretty well. I want it to sit probably half in the pot, half out. So to get this to a perfect fit, I put the ball in and I just start twisting. and it's gonna fit perfectly. There we go. That's probably about half in, half out. All right, so I'm not gonna leave the styrofoam ball in it at this point. What I would do is once I've hollowed out the center, I'm gonna sit it on my counter to continue drying because we want this to dry now on the inside. So I would leave it like this for probably another day or two. And then once the sugar vase is dry, and we're gonna come back, we're gonna pretend it's dry, okay? So it's been sitting here for 2 or 3 days. 1 or 2 days, doesn't have to be 3. If it's 3, that's okay too. Once it's dry, it's dry. So I'm going to take my spoon, and I'm just gonna put a little bit of royal icing. Royal icing is the icing that dries hard. It's the icing that we glue gingerbread houses together with, we decorate wedding cakes with. So I'm just gonna put some royal icing in there. And kind of squish our ball in place. Any of the excess icing that kind of squirts out the sides, you can just kind of remove with your finger. And I'm gonna set that aside. So the last step for this sugar vase is anytime you have styrofoam on a cake, you don't want it exposed. So even though we're putting a lot of flowers and leaves on this in this ball, there's still going to be some negative space where you can see inside, and you don't want to be looking at styrofoam. So we're just going to cover this ball with some fondant, and this vase will be ready to accept our flowers once we finish them. So I'm going to just set that aside for a sec. I'm going to get some fondant. You don't need much. The ball is not very big. Set that aside. You always want to knead or condition your fondant before you roll it out. And you can use cornstarch or powdered sugar on your surface, your work surface, so that your paste doesn't stick. Even though this board is great, it's pretty much a non-stick board, I'm still going to use a little bit of dust. This is just a knee-high stocking with cornstarch in it. You want to use a brand new clean knee-high stocking. And we're just going to roll this thin. Doesn't need to be thick. All this is, the only purpose this serves is to cover our styrofoam. And that should be big enough. So we want to put something on our styrofoam ball so that our fondant sticks. I have some shortening here. Some people use water. You can use piping gel. In a pinch, I've even used honey, corn syrup, anything sticky. Okay. Oops. So we're going to drape this over our ball. Get our sides tucked in, right up against the side of the ball. And then we're going to trim off the excess. Doesn't have to be perfectly smooth. It's just, again, this is just so we're not looking at styrofoam when our little arrangement is finished. Okay, so I'm just using an offset spatula here to trim, get that excess off. And there we have it. Our little sugar vase is ready to go. Okay. Today we are making a filler flower arrangement. So our focus is on filler flowers. What's a filler flower? It's It's a filler for your space on your arrangements. Typically you have a focal flower, a secondary flower, and then you have fillers. So in this lesson, you're going to learn how to hand cut and pull your own flowers using no cutters, just a pair of scissors and possibly a ball tool. You're going to learn the Mexican hat method. You're going to make berries, some little generic blossoms, and we're also doing wired petals where we've done these really pretty lemon blossoms. So we're putting it all together, and we're putting it all together in this really cute sugar vase. With very little time and effort, you can make a really great arrangement for the tops of your cakes. Got a ton of videos on foliage and different flowers, a lot of information. So come join me.